All right. For this session on SOTL, I'm going to talk about analyzing student subject matter knowledge. I think this is something different from what you have heard before this, as in I do not think many people advocate doing this, but I always believe that since we ask our students to do assignments, we ask them to write answers during the final exam. And for some of us, we also ask them to do role plays. We ask them to talk. You know, there are potential to record what they talk and analyze. For myself, I have quite a lot of papers that are based on student data of this kind. And those days when I did this, it was not about SOTL. I didn't even know the word SOTL. It was just a convenient source of data that I have got hold of. It is in my hands whether I like it or not, and why not I do something about it. And actually when I analyzed the students' writing, I found that, oh, they didn't know this. I should make this clearer when I teach them the next time. So this is actually the purpose of analyzing student subject matter knowledge. Okay. So scholarship of teaching and learning, I am advocating this. How do you know your students understand? If you ask them, understand, you know, for harm, they say yes, yes. But to know whether they really understand or not, what they write for us in their assignment and the exam tells us, it's very clear evidence whether they understand something or not. Okay, so that will really help us to be better in teaching them. At least we know their weaknesses. We could, of course, ask them in interviews. We could also ask them in questionnaires, but I think it is good to analyze their written or spoken output. Of course, the spoken output takes a little bit more work. If you videotape them, you have to somehow transcribe what they have said. You can audio record them. You have to listen to it and transcribe what they have said. So in the past, I have asked my final year students to transcribe what I have recorded of the role plays in English lessons. So they transcribe it, they analyze the kind of errors inside there. Some of the students, they themselves go and record certain other data that is theirs. But for mine, what I'm telling you is you're teaching the normal things you do in class. You can get data from them to analyze. The written one is much easier, okay? I've analyzed a lot of essays to find out how they write it and so on. Later at the end, I will share with you one of the many papers, okay? But inside this session, I will share with you more of the core content because a lot of you are teaching core subjects, elective subjects where you actually deliver a lot of knowledge to the students, information to the students. It's different from analyzing language, which I will show at the end. Okay. Last time when I talked about this, I was asked, can we just use the marks and report? Well, the marks you give to them as a lecturer, you may have a rubric, you may have a sample answer. You look at the student's script. Okay, this one out of 10, I give a 7. That one out of 10, I give a 3. The 3 and the 7 have certain criteria in your mind. But as a researcher, the marks are not enough because the marks signify many different things and possibly is a combination of many things. But when you analyze the student's writing, as a researcher, you may choose to focus on certain things only, okay? And then you can go into detail to understand whether they got this thing right or wrong. You still need some kind of expected answers. This will be the benchmark for your analysis. I share with you one question I use in my research method exam. I can share with you because I'm not using this ever again. Okay, the instruction is analyze excerpts of interviews with cancer survivors and write up the results on reasons that motivate cancer patients to seek treatment. You must do the following. 1, draw a concept map of the themes identified from text 1 and text 2. 2, give the figure a suitable heading. 3, write up the results. Okay, what I wanted to know is, do students know how to do qualitative data analysis? Qualitative data analysis, the results are usually presented as a concept map. Are they able to extract the themes and the sub-themes from the two texts or not? When they extract it, are they able to show it visually as a concept map? And when they have done that, are they able to give the figure a suitable heading? Because I teach them this kind of things. This is essential in academic writing, in research writing. Figures need to have headings. Tables need to have headings. And there are certain format for APA, citation, and referencing. And the writing up of results, are they able to write it up based on the concept map? Do they know how to refer to the concept map? So these are things I look for. Okay, this is the text one. Students are given 2 interview excerpts, very long, but I pick from certain parts that has the information that is needed. I show you only one text two. The text one will look like that, but they may talk about different reasons why they wanted to go for treatment. This particular one says she believes in science. Science can heal her. And also believes in the doctor. There was the other text that talk about the person wanting to go for treatment because he has responsibilities. He's got children, he's got an old mother he has to take care of. If he passes away, who is going to take care of them? So people go for treatment for different reasons, and the students are supposed to portray it inside a concept map. So here I have given a concept map from one student. She chose to portray it like that. Not exactly the way I imagine it, so I then have to give marks depending on whether I think this is okay or not. Actually, it is not okay because she's still analyzing it separately as 2 participants. It is supposed to be a combined one concept map that branches out like how you draw the sun with its lines going out, because we are supposed to combine the results into one concept map on reasons. What is the question? Reasons that motivate cancer patients to seek treatment. It is not analyzing as a person by person. Okay, so the figure heading given by her also is not correct because she didn't have the word figure 1. She only put cancer disease between 2 different females. Also not answering the question. The question is the reasons for seeking treatment. So the student has gone off. So as a lecturer, I would probably give her some token marks. But as a researcher, then I have to look at different things. So I'm sharing with you what I'm looking at. This is the write-up. You don't have to read through this, but later in the slides you can read through. But anyway, you are not doing this. Okay. Okay, sample aim and objectives of the study. If I were to write a paper, actually I kind of drafted it, but I never got around to writing it because I was like busy writing other papers with better data that can have better homes in journals. This one, if I do it, it will definitely only be refereed journal. Okay, I could write it like this. The study examined undergraduate students' ability to report qualitative results. The specific objectives of the study were to examine students' ability to draw a concept map to show the themes and sub-themes on reasons. Probably I don't need to go into the reasons. I can stop there on themes and sub-themes, okay? Because that would be too detailed already. This one probably not needed. Okay. Second objective, to assess students' ability to give the correct figure heading. And thirdly, to describe how students report the results of the qualitative data analysis. So from here, you can kind of imagine how the results tables may look like. Now, this is important because I give you an idea of the variable that I'm analyzing and an indicator of the kind of data. So the 5 components of the method of study that must be reported: research design, participants, instrument, data collection procedures, data analysis procedures. So let's say I do a write-up on the research design. I just say the descriptive study was conducted to identify students' weaknesses in reporting results of thematic analysis performed on interview transcripts, so that pedagogical insights can be drawn from the study and can be used for the improvement of the teaching materials and the teaching process to develop students' competency in reporting qualitative analysis results. So I think this one's sufficient already. You can cite a few sources if you want, they can support this, but if not, then this one does the job for research design. Next, sample write-up on the participants. You know what kind of text? They were 30 student answers in a final examination in a research methodology course for Year 2 linguistic undergraduate students in the Malaysian Public University. I think I have provided enough information on who they are, how many they are, you know, where they are. I don't have to announce that this is a Kota Samarahan University. Okay, I also talk about the text because yes, the text were produced by the 30 students. Okay, but I also need to talk about the characteristics of it because so far you have looked at the exam question, but the people reading my report hasn't seen the question. So I have to say, this was an open book examination in that students were allowed to refer to their lecture notes and other resources to help them in a thematic analysis. They could even discuss the question with one another if they wish. The final exam question is as follows. I will give that because if not, then the people reading this will not know what on earth I'm talking about. Now I move on to the third part, the sample write-up on the instrument. The analysis framework used for analyzing how well students report the results of the interview analysis was formulated based on X 2015 and Y 2019. Okay, X 2015 stated that the essential information in the description of results of empirical studies are blah, blah, blah. Okay, table 1 shows the analysis framework with the essential elements in the write-up, the qualitative results. So I give this to you as a sample, but actually I made the analysis framework on my own. There were none out there as in this manner, but I made it. And then I'm going to go backwards and find this X 2015 and Y 2019 if they exist, to say that in the reporting of results, you must have these things. So even though they didn't have analysis framework that I could borrow and just use, I could use what they say are important things, and then I make my own, but I still give my analysis framework some validity by saying that it is somebody who said these kind of things are essential rather than just I myself. But of course, if you just wanted to say it's you yourself who came up with it because of your research experience, you can try. It depends on whether the reviewer wants to ask you to make it stronger. If not, then you get by already. Okay, this is my analysis framework. Okay, I figured out when you write up the results, you must always start with the background information. For example, table 1 shows the results on something, something. Definitely, if you have a figure, you have to say figure 1 shows something, something. So there is certain background information that needs to be provided, such as the purpose of that analysis. Okay. And then now we go into the main idea. The students, I expect them to start with the main idea. For example, from the thematic analysis just now, the main reason for cancer patients to seek treatment is to recover so that they can continue their normal life, their previous life. Okay, so that would be the main results, and then they will then give excerpts to support, but they need to be able to give me the main idea. So in that analysis of the thematic analysis of the interview, I was looking for at least 3 reasons. Actually, there were more than that, but at least I consider they should be able to pick 3 main reasons, 3 main themes on why cancer patients go for treatment. So if they only give me 2, then I will say they somehow missed one of it. And I expect one sub-theme. That means there is certain elaboration, you know, like the family responsibility. Maybe the main theme is called family responsibility, but the sub-theme is need to look after children need to look after aged parents. So I expect this kind of things. So from the students' answers, I pick examples. Sorry, the excerpt one, somehow the example was wrong because it came from the other option in the final exam. I will correct that, and later the slides uploaded will be the correct one. So this is my analysis framework, as in I expect this kind of things. They are able to cite 3 excerpts, because in qualitative data analysis, it is not just the main ideas that they are supposed to tell, but also evidence that comes from the results. So just now will be the text 2, the female cancer patient, age 22, said this, you know, she had faith in her doctor to heal her and in medicine. So they will give the exact sentence that come from the excerpt. And this is also a skill that must be demonstrated in reporting qualitative data analysis. So that's why I want to look for citations. And the whole write-up on the results must end with the summing up on what the main results are. I expect them to be able to possibly just list the 3 main themes, that is okay. Or if they want to highlight something else that kind of sum up the results, is also okay. But so long as they do a summing up. So here I did not put any example because I couldn't find any from the students. It was actually very hard for them to write qualitative analysis. Those who did the other option, which is to analyze the results in the table that came from questionnaire, did much better, because people are more used to processing quantitative data. Okay. So suppose now I move on to writing data collection procedures. This one I don't give a sample because it's rather long to write, but I believe the points I would include is I will look through the final exam scripts to identify students who chose the qualitative data question, because there was another question on quantitative data. That's why out of 90 over, I could only get 30 scripts. Okay. And then I took them out, I printed them, labeled them 1 to 30, and analyze them. Next step would be analysis already. I believe I will talk about this kind of points in my data analysis procedures. To analyze the students' write-up of qualitative results, I refer to table 1, which is the analysis framework. For the first element on background, I check whether the background is there, present, or absent. I also pay attention to the kinds of information included when they wrote the background. For myself, I will refer to the figure, but the students may choose to highlight other things. They may choose to highlight the fact that the results came from 2 cancer survivors who were interviewed, and that's also okay. So that's why this is the part where it's different when you are a lecturer versus a researcher. When you're a lecturer, you give the mark, yes, okay, there is background, give marks. But as a researcher, I am interested also in the kinds of information that students pick up to include in the background, and also how many did not do it, you know. So there is a little bit more interest in the detail, because then I will know what ought to be there and are not there, or what can be a good substitute and also acceptable, because students see things differently. Okay, yeah. Next, I identify which example to use as excerpts later to show the good and the weak write-up of the background. So I probably write this in my data analysis procedure section to show the process, to review what I went through, so that people will go through the same process of analysis. And there will be more, but this is just the beginning part. So this is a table to record my analysis. I imagine it may look like this, my raw data. This is my raw data. So I have the elements that came from the analysis framework. You see on the left-hand side, background, main idea, 3 main themes, 1 sub-theme, 3 excerpts, and summing up. Then let's say I have a student called Amy. I tick because I'm looking for absence and presence. And then 3 main themes, I need to count. This is only 1. 3 excerpt only cite 1 time. And then no sub-theme, summing up, yes. So for Benny, has 3 main themes and cited excerpts 2 times. So this is my raw data. For qualitative analysis, yes, it's qualitative, but I always make a table like this. Maybe I have to use sellotape and join the 2 or 3 pieces of paper together, and I will do like this, so that everything appears on 1 page. After that, I can write these results. Yeah, I don't need to keep flipping the paper anymore. Okay. Sample write-up on the background part of the results. So for myself, when I write the results, I will write like this. This section describes how well students report the results of the interview analysis. Table 2 shows the frequency and percentage of students with required elements in description of results. A total of 33% of 90 student scripts analyzed contain background information. Most of the students included the purpose of the study as the background as shown in excerpt 1. So the excerpt 1 came from student 1. The student 1 says, oh yeah, now I know why. Yeah, I did take the wrong example. Table 1 shows the results on perceptions towards English. However, a majority of students, 67%, did not provide background information and describe the results straight away. Excerpt 2 shows. So I will show how they launch into it without, giving the background. Now, this is what I imagine the results might be, okay? So I have all the elements on the left-hand side. I have the number of students who actually had the elements, and I calculate percentage. Trying to goreng something out of very simple data, all right? Because the table is like this. So I believe I have opened your eyes to the wells of data sitting in your office, and you can publish from them. So I promote this to you because it not only helps your student, because it will improve your teaching. You will find that, oh, I didn't know such simple thing they didn't understand. I will make sure I emphasize this in the next semester. But as a lecturer who needs to publish, I encourage you to take up this side dish and enjoy it. You don't need to go out to the field and collect the data. It is right there. Okay, now I stop sharing of this. I will share with you a paper that I wrote based on data I collected in my office, so-called, because it is there. Share screen. Okay. My colleague and I, move too fast, were teaching an English course, and probably it was academic reading and writing, and the students were taught to write argument, or maybe it is a prep 2. They were taught to write arguments, so they submitted that as assignment, and we took the assignments and analyzed them. So we go to the method, because that's when you see what actually happened. Okay, scrolling like that make you feel burning. I better do page down is better. Purpose of the study. The study examined argument text written by students of high and low English proficiency. You see, I purposely divide into high and low. Of course, I got them as a whole class, but I kind of divided them because I wanted to introduce some complexity into the paper, into the research. If not, a lot of SOTL data may appear too simple. Now, the specific aspects examined were: number 1, the structure of the argument text, and number 2, the language features significant for fulfilling the persuasive purpose of the text. So I wrote the next part to say that the bigger purpose of it, trying to justify that it is an important piece of research. By using text analysis of persuasive text produced by university students, this study seeks to uncover the strengths and weaknesses of university-level academic writing to provide evidence-based pedagogical applications for the development of an effective academic reading and writing curriculum. Suddenly something simple, a 2-page write-up can seem very important, okay? I have a theoretical framework of the study taken from the genre-based approach, okay? Because it shows that basically the genre-based approach says that when you write something, there is an organization to it, and there is a purpose to the organization. It starts in certain way, and it has certain things in the middle, and it ends in certain ways. And there are certain language features we use so that we achieve the purpose. That is the genre-based approach. All right. Here, I didn't announce the research design, but I said where the data comes from. These were argument texts written by undergrads of UNIMAS in the level 2 English course. For those with MUET band scores of 1 to 3, that means not so proficient in English. They have already passed level 1. They emphasize on the oral skills, and here the focus is on reading and writing. So certain background like this needs to be given. There were top 5 types, recount, description, information, report, explanation, argument. So I only took one of it for analysis. Okay, after this, I actually described the module in the argument, what we taught them, because how they write could be a reflection of what they learned previously and also what we taught them. So I went on. So I just want to show you the tables. I even give this one, how things were marked. It's a bit like the analysis framework, but those days I was not so good. I didn't know how to make the analysis framework. I gave what I used from a lecturer's point of view, okay, these kind of things, because these were in the marking scheme that we use across the different lecturers. Okay, I also say here, undergraduates with scores of 20 and above were considered proficient, and those with scores of 10 and below were not proficient. So I didn't take those in the middle, because if I take those in the middle, you do not know this one is getting 49 marks, that one 51 marks, is that one low proficiency just because it's 2 marks less. So I omitted the part in the middle and I took top and the bottom. Altogether 40 texts from 1 to 8. Okay. 22 proficient and 18 in the less proficient. A lot were in the middle. The analysis. Okay. We got details. I think I just show you some tables, because tables will show very clearly. I think I need to make this smaller so that you can see the bird's eye view of it. Okay, all arguments like debates must have a stance. I support this. Reason number 1 to support, reason number 2 to support, reason number 3 to support, and this is why I support this. So we look for this and see whether clearly stated or stated but not clear, and none. So then we tabulated the results. Okay. Then we went into the qualitative analysis of the connectors, due to as a result, because, okay. So another table to show this on the connector, to give reasons they could use, because they could say by, or in doing so, they could say this is why, as a result, due to. The most common, of course, is because. Even in my own writing, I keep saying because. To show effect, the most common was so. Therefore. To show contrast, the most common was but. However, not so much, but in my own writing, I use a lot of however. To show outcome, so that or that. To add ideas, a lot of besides. Besides is a little bit less formal. That's why in my own writing, I use more of in addition. To show sequence, then, and so on. So these were the things we look for in the essays. So we also had model verbs, the whole list of model verbs, because argument, we talk about things that are not 100% correct or 100% wrong. So you say this can be right. So it's very important to use model verbs in arguments. So we then look through it, because the student scripts were handwritten. So we actually had to circle. Now, if you have a Word document, you just use a find function. Wow, so easy. And then you just go and color it. And then you can do the counting of the groups. P for the proficient, LP for the less proficient. You count the total. You know that the proficient students actually use more model verbs, but the less proficient students use more of the need and would and must. So it does reveal certain things. Maybe the less proficient students do not really know how to use can and should that much. They tend to go towards need, would, and must. Interesting, yeah. But they were equally using may, so that's okay. So this will tell us what to focus on in subsequent teaching. We also look at passive voice, correct usage and incorrect usage. Of course, the proficient students were having more of both types. I don't know why. Maybe they use passive voice more. Yeah. Okay. Conditionals as well. So there were many features that were considered important for persuasion, and we analyzed all of them. Okay. So then we wrote the conclusion. Not much of citation now that I look at it. Yeah, but it was published anyway. Yeah. This journal now is already Scopus Index, but not at the time we published it there. So this is what I have to share on this. I also have another article that is on experiment, but this is not from us. This is what I found from a good journal. It's the effect of project-based learning on student performance and action research study. It's done in the University of Honolulu. PBL. No, you also do PBL anyway. Okay, let me just scroll down. Maybe you can read the abstract because the abstract tells you what it is. The effectiveness of an alternate pedagogical approach in the form of a standards-focused project-based learning teaching model in psychology class. There is experimental group, there is control group. They initially were negative because they felt that this is extra work, but later they found that the experimental group took responsibility for the learning, scored significantly higher, but no significance was found for the second group. They didn't feel that sense of responsibility. And the final conclusion was key indicators for higher academic performance were high self-efficacy. Self-efficacy means confidence in doing something. They feel confident they can do something. High levels of perceived control. I know it's important and I know I can do it. Okay, and growth mindset. So this is the introduction. It has citations. The method, you see, there is description of the research design. There is description of the sampling method. Of course, a lot of complex terms were used, but the researcher admitted it's a convenient sample. You see here, kind of cursor here, convenient sample. So it's okay. Then you just justify it. Even got inclusion criteria for convenient sample, all right? Sample size, how many Hispanic, white, and so on. Procedures. This is the how the course was taught. Remember, this is experimental study. It is important to describe the experimental treatment there, what you do that is different in this PBL. So describe both courses, 15 weeks, students do this and do this, you know, got lots of details, you know, because the idea to give a lot of details is if somebody wants to repeat this study, they can. This is to help reliability of the study in future. Consistency, you know, people need to carry out the experiment in the same way if you want to replicate this study. So it goes on, all right? It has instrument because you need to measure whether it's good or not good. So it has the instrument. It's a multiple choice exam. There, the multiple choice exam, the reliability, good, 0.86 and 0.78, okay? Oh, also does focus group, all right? There is a qualitative data also. And the questions are given. This is the instrument. This is the interview guide. Oh, very long. Okay. And now comes the results. The source of the data was derived from the following: A, multiple choice exams, B, instructors' field notes, and C, student focus groups. So the first part reports the exam scores, ANOVA. Second part, focus groups. Theme 1, positive influence of peer pressure. Theme 2, students' dependence on instructor-developed study tools. Theme 3, students driven by external locus of control. So now the last part is the few notes. So you see in the qualitative results, even though it's qualitative, it's okay to use numbers 4 out of 23 participants, 22 out of 26 participants. This is only descriptive statistics. You can use them if you are doing qualitative data analysis. There is nothing wrong. When we say that quantitative data analysis that is going into t-test, ANOVA, regression, and much higher up, okay? But as far as numbers, percentage, it's okay to use. You should use because it gives an idea of how many people or how many of these participants are bringing up theme 1, theme 2, and theme 3. This is important. This group of researchers did not do a concept map, but you could do a concept map to show your findings. So the results goes on. There is a discussion. Now this one is a real discussion because it did cite people, Castella, Byrne and Covington 2013 found such and such, and later it explains more of this self-handicapping that came from Castella. It's not a pretend type where you just mention one sentence, cite somebody and bye-bye and move on because you didn't know anything much more about the study. This one is not pretend. It actually did discuss slowly. It's a good example. You know, I looked for so many and found this good example. So afterwards, I will also put it up. You can look at it. How I learn is through good examples I see. I don't get to what I am now just based on something I know, and there's something I know keeps growing. I actually keep learning from other samples that I see. Because I come from a language background, I analyze how they write something. So I also follow certain words that they use. In the past, I actually had a piece of paper when I wrote down words to use in discussion, words to use for reporting, words to use in, arguing and so on. Maybe now it becomes more automatic, but those days, actually, my eyes actually move up there. Yeah, I should use that, you know. It really helps. Okay, it has the conclusion and practical applications of the study. Of course, it has references, and that is the end of this. So hopefully this gives you good ideas for you to conduct your own action research, your SOTL research.